5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome to our third and final review of the week. This time covering the game you probably haven't heard about, and that's Escape Close Call. This game was given to us by a Middle Eastern developer called Tarbouche Games. Uh,
Interesting.
yeah, it's like, well, they've got offices apparently in Istanbul and Dubai.
Mm.
Not Constantinople?
Quiet, you.
Just
Um, anyway, so Escape Close Call, uh, it's kind of a ripoff of Burnout, sort of. Trying to think of what that Burnout iOS game was. Burnout Crash, I think.
I think that was the
Right?
Xbox Live one. I don't remember what the
Yeah,
iOS one
I
was.
think that. Yeah, that one. Um, anyway, Escape Close Call isn't necessarily. It's not a racing game, in spite of the fact that it has cars in it. It's more of a survival game.
It's a racing game in that you're racing away from the cops that are trying to chase you down.
More or less, actually. Like, you play as a criminal who's engaged in a, escape attempt, hence the title. Um, and the close call part is actually one of the reward mechanics in the game. Like, if you get close to a cop car without crashing, you will get a reward called a close call.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other such things in this game. The overall conceit is you've got to survive in the arena for 10 minutes before the big steel doors will open. The thing about it is you're not going to be able to do that for a long time. It's a pretty weird setup, if I'm being honest, because this game is very set up for very, very short gameplay sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll be lucky. Like your first goal is really to last a minute. And, and you got to get to your big goal by completing a whole bunch of smaller ones and leveling up, powering up, basically. You know, it's set up where there's this shop where you can buy various power-ups, buy multipliers, buy access to the next part of the game, actually, and so on and so forth. And in fact, there's like a option to reduce the amount of time you spend in the arena from 10 minutes to 5 minutes. So it's a lot of short individual sessions leading up to a longer gameplay session as you build up your car.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's not a setup I was expecting. And it's not a setup that they really showcase on like the video or screenshots I saw.
Mm. And this is like currency earning game. You don't like have to put real money into this, do you?
I believe so. As far as the PC version is concerned, I do believe this game was also released on mobile, and mobile being mobile, they may have in-game purchases there. Let me just see if I can't find this game on the App Store.
Mm.
It's like, and of course I don't have that page open, so
Live research.
yes, one of our many catchphrases. iOS, is it on iOS?
If it's on mobile, it should be on iOS.
let's see. Here's a Touch Arcade. Let's see. That's it. May have been released on mobile, but I'm not seeing a link to it. Let me see. Try App Store. I mean, I can find the Steam page pretty easy, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's on mobile anymore, or if it even got released. Like all I'm getting is the Steam page, which is, I guess, just as well because this game has some very loose controls, as you would expect. In fact, a large part of the gameplay is using sharp turns or power slides, not only to rack up points, but to avoid the enemy. It's an idea that works out better in theory than in practice. Honestly, the controls are a little too loose for my tastes. And it's really easy to crash. Like, and also doing power slides and turns, they'll get you rewards, but that's not really where the money lies, so to speak, or where the points lie. The real multipliers are running over zombies. So this game has actually a bit of Carmageddon.
Because zombies are a thing.
Yeah, it's like. Well, so
sorry, it's just funny because they were not previously mentioned.
Yeah, I'm like, for whatever reason, when a police car crashes or two police car crashes, zombies show up. They just show up. I presume that they are the former police officers, but they are a thing that exists. I was never given a reason why they exist. They just do, and you get points and you increase your multiplier by running over the zombies.
Well, I guess it's more wholesome than running over pedestrians.
Well, that's what Carmageddon did. I'm like, I don't really have time to go over the history of Carmageddon, but it was a vehicular combat game where you could run over people, and some versions replaced the people with zombies. So, and they're the cartoonish kind of zombies.
Yeah.
Well, green skin, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the zombies are important not just in terms of getting points, racking up your multiplier, but also your longevity, because there is a specific power-up that turns points gained from zombies into gas, into fuel. So what you do is you activate that power-up when you're running low on fuel to keep your fuel meter going. And you can junction that with another power-up, which has more zombies appear, or the brain power-up, which attracts the zombies. There's quite a number of these power-ups that are focused on the zombies.
Right.
But there are other power-ups, like there's the turret power-up, which destroys the various cop cars kind of randomly. There's the rock solid, where it's basically invulnerability. There's the ghost power up, which is invisibility, and so on and so forth. The power ups are pretty standard, and you can also increase your fuel tank as well. That's another one of the major goals of the game.
Because it doesn't help much if you're trying to, last a certain amount of time and you run out of gas before that.
Right. Well, like I said, each session, you get to keep the points you earn. So, you're building up towards these upgrades until you can afford the upgrades, and you can get more points, and you can afford more upgrades. That's the deal here. It's a pretty standard progression system. Now, and that does add longevity of the game, but as far as the thing of it is, this game just doesn't have the gameplay chops to reinforce all that. Because honestly, the game really does. Its tempo, its fun time is in very, very short play sessions. Basically, like doing all the metagame stuff is going to take you actually quite a lot of time, if I'm being honest. But the game is only, it's one of those you pick up, you play for 15, maybe 30 minutes, and you're done. I'm like, also, there are other rewards. You unlock various vehicles throughout the game, and they have different stats that they allow you to, reach combos quicker and so on and so forth. And you got to do various actions or run over a certain amount of zombies or last a certain amount of time, that kind of deal. And another one of your meta goals is to deal with the fences. So, like, after a certain amount of time, you'll get a mission where you have to bust through the green fence to get to the next level. But, that takes, I think, about 10,000 points.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, it's a lot of points. Maybe a little less, but it was quite a significant amount. And once you do that, you move on to the next phase, which is much more of a chase scenario. But and then there was like a blue fence you had to unlock. So there's a sense of progression in this game, and really, all I can come up with is that's nice, but it's not making the base gameplay any more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing that the game didn't do was escalate or change or do anything different with the threats. I think outside of adding like police vans.
Yeah, or like, it would have to be like armored cars or whatever.
Yeah, it's like it's not that much of a jump.
Just police cars, so.
Mm-hmm. So I suppose we should talk about the graphics here. In spite of what you might be seeing from the trailer, the screenshots, this isn't an asset flip game.
Yeah, the studio was open about the fact that they did use some existing assets, probably some of the road textures, but maybe the car models, but it is an original game built around that stuff, not just a quick thing. And they're certainly not repackaging like entire game mechanics as a full game. So,
it's using assets from the simple graphics pack. I think it listed in the notes. But yeah, it's not an asset flip. It's very much their own game. So it's an important distinction.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with using assets that you purchase. It's just when you don't add anything to those.
Yeah,
that's when it comes to problem.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we could do a topic of discussion on whole asset flip situation at some point.
I mean, we could, but Jim Sterling kind of has it covered.
Yeah,
it's like maybe over covered at that. But the music, once again, it's there. I can't even remember the music. And it's one of those single tunes that plays throughout the gameplay. But it's unmemorable enough where it didn't stick there. Make of that what you will. Really, this isn't the kind of game you'd be buying the soundtrack for anyway, even if that tune was more memorable. You'll be tired of it after a while. I know I was. Anyway, price. So this is one of the biggest sticking points to the game currently. And that is, it's overpriced. I'm not going to lie. It's the Steam version is clocking in at $7. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that is cheap, but it is a pretty small game, so.
Yeah. It's like, this feels more a $3 to $5 deal. Like, $7 is a tad over what I recommend at the maximum level. Yeah. And it really comes down to being the base gameplay is just too shallow and repetitive for me to recommend. It's got some long-term credentials, but I don't see many people sticking with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I guess that's
Especially
probably
for something on PC, like this was, if this actually was on mobile, I could see paying like, this being free to play and stuff like that, but like $7 for what's here, eh?
yeah. And I can't tell you what's going on with the mobile situation because the game, once again, really does feel like it was built for mobile in mind. It's got the telltale signs, like it's got the big fucking UI elements that always stick out when I'm like mobile game. I'm like, even if you weren't planning on mobile, it's like that. That's such a mobile game thing because there's no reason to have icons super fucking huge on a on screens that are going to be typically bigger
Yeah.
than a phone screen or a tablet screen. Like when you have super huge UI elements, those are built for smaller screens. I
Right.
will say, on the other hand, I did like the aesthetic at the menu screen where it's got this CRT, and it looks like a chase is going on. If you've ever seen like one of those on television,
Mm-hmm.
you know that's kind of the aesthetic they were going for. Um, it was a nice touch. And really, that's all I can think of when it comes to this particular title. So, yeah, this will conclude our review session for the week. And, right, the week ahead, as per usual with the, this particular moment in time, there is no MSP. I know, Petty Fan, have you started building guests for that yet?
I was actually going to do that Monday because I didn't want to do it, way too early. Yeah, I was going to start poking
Right.
people
And
Monday.
yeah, I'm like, we're about a month off from that.
Yeah. So a month should be plenty of time for people to sort their schedules out and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a subtle art. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
coming up on Fragments of Silicon, uh, this week we have no Tuesday interview, so I'm sure my team is going to be cheering that they can sleep in that day. Uh, and on Wednesday, January 24th, we'll be welcoming Zach of Cherry Kiss Games. So Cherry Kiss Games, they are a visual novel um, producer, let's say. Like, I'm not sure if like they've only put out two visual novels, really, and I'm not exactly sure if they're like. I believe they're Japanese transplants. You know, they're fairly new to the game, so to speak, and I don't know if they have if they plan to deal with Western visual novels at this point. That's one of the things we ask these people. But yeah, they put out um, two versions of a game called a visual novel called Wild Romance, and the latest release is called Mofu Mofu Edition, which is it's an expanded version which features some tweaks, some revisiting the UI elements, and some of the adult content restored.
Yeah.
Not all of it.
Mofu Mofu is an onomatopoeia sound thing for something soft and squishy, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Try to guess what those are. Anyway, also worth noting, Wild Romance Mofu Mofu Edition does have an R18 patch. If you've missed our many interviews with Manga Gamer, here's the situation with R18 patches when it comes to visual novels released on Steam at this moment in time.
You can't make them available on Steam. You can't publicize them on Steam, but they can make them compatible with Steam.
Right, and you can have them off-site.
Right.
You know, we were given a direct link to the R18 patch. I put that into my copy. I do not know about my colleagues here, and it's also we're gonna have to ask the developer beforehand how much of this we can stream because
If it's R18, I know I cannot use it on Twitch, so
well, I
I
mean,
can't use the
I'm
patch at
talking
all.
about I'm talking about the patched version.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Well,
like because
you could just not install. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
You,
going to
you would
install
not
the
install
patch.
the patch and then give it a check to see if there's anything offensive in the first half hour or so.
yeah, I'm talking more about if that version's safe for streaming because remember the game Mutiny still was fairly sexually charged and had nudity in it, but you know we were told that was still fine for streaming. So we'll let you know about the situation one way or another on Wednesday, and you'll know if we have like the visual novel playing or if we just have the trailer playing. Because yeah, we are not going to get our account banned over some nudity.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that in mind, it is time to depart once again. And until Wednesday, I wish you good gaming.